What's up guys? Everything on my face today is a first impression for the most part. Not my eyebrows because I forgot, but everything else is. I went to the store. I had a haul video up if you want to check that out. It'll be down in the description as well. The haul video is more like why I picked it up, what made me pick it up, and then this one's kind of just sitting down and telling you about how I think it wore for the first time ever. Keep in mind they are my first impressions, so opinions do change and maybe it won't wear well at all. We'll find out, right? This is the look that I did using the products that I picked up, and I have a lot of first impressions that are good. So stick around and I'll show you, what will I show you? My first impressions. I'm gonna use that word a lot today. So I did realize I didn't buy something for my eyebrows, so I do just have the CoverGirl brow pencil and some of the Maybelline Color Tattoo 24-hour eyeshadow in here in the shade Tough as Taupe. Alright, so to carve out my eyebrows and to prime my eyelids, I'm going to go in with the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer. Because I want to carve out my eyebrows with it, I'm going to start by focusing on that. Let's see if there's any brushes. I did buy a set of brushes and then a setting brush. From that, I'm going to grab the detail brush and I'm going to go in with the concealer. No. I don't know, I always use my Morphe B16 to carve out my eyebrows, and I'm going to keep it that way. I have trust issues. This thing works. I've tried other ones. They just don't work as well, and I just can't leave this again. I feel like I did a really nice job of carving out my eyebrows. I do feel as though the shade is a tad bit too close of a match to my skin to really be in my comfort zone for carving out my brows, but I'll just set it with something a little bit lighter in a moment just to highlight my brow bone anyway. But aside from that, it was actually a concealer that I like to carve it out with. Usually I like a little bit of a drier consistency, or at least it dries down pretty quickly for my eyebrows, for carving them out at least. Not really sure why. I just like the coverage and that type of texture and formula a little bit better for my brows. It kind of just carves them out and then sets down and doesn't budge. But now I'm going to go in with this concealer and kind of just prime my eyelids with it. So just apply some there. Might have been too much. I don't really know what I'm working with here. I think that blended out nicely, covered up some veins, and just looks like a really good base to work with here. For the eyeshadow today, I'm going to go in with the Wet n Wild Color Icon eyeshadow quad, and I have it in Hooked on Vinyl. And do they know they make everything impossible to open? This is what it looks like. What really drew me into this was the shade down here and this shade right here. Ooh, it feels pretty soft. Let's try to swatch that for you. It's like this deep dark teal and then this like golden yellow bronze shade that's really pretty, and those were the two shades that really drew me into this palette. I have no idea what look to do with this. It's actually saying to put this shade into the crease and then this into the eyelid. Maybe we'll do that, but I think that's a little bold. I feel as though I might flip-flop that because I don't know if I would want that dark crease without like a better transition shade. Maybe I'll grab a different palette and go in with it, but let's just try to keep it simple. I'm going to try first and pick it up with my finger and then press it onto my eyelid. I forgot to set the concealer, so I guess I am setting it with this eyeshadow right now. I thought it would be way more pigmented, and that's why I was a little bit scared to put it into the crease, and now I kind of regret it. I wish I put this into the crease and the golden all over the lid. I feel as though this isn't as pigmented as the other palettes. I'm going to grab something to really pack on the shadow, so I'm going to dip into it now. I'm just not impressed by this right now. I'm not impressed. Which is sad because I really liked the other palettes, and this doesn't even look like the same shade. Oh my gosh. Like, there's nothing packing on right there in that spot. It's kind of just getting moved over. Like, the spot refuses to pick up pigment. I'm so confused. I'm not the most pleased by this, but Let's see if we can go back in and just deepen up that outer corner using the same shade. The golden shade worked way better than this dark teal shade here. Okay, that worked a little bit better. But I feel like when you go to blend it, you kind of blend it all the way too soon. So I kind of just went in and created this like elongated wing effect with the green. And then I went back in with the brush to kind of just buff it out, make sure there weren't any harsh lines. I'm going to grab that detailer brush from the Real Techniques and go into the Brow Bone shade. Okay, there's fallout. So much fallout. Oh no. It's not bad. It's still not as pigmented as I'd like it to be. I felt like I had to pack on way too many layers of that for that to show up. In hopes of saving this look a little bit, I'm going to dip into the shade right here in the ColourPop You Had Me at Hello palette, which is Sparks Fly. And I'm just going to focus that on the outer third of my eye. And this will kind of just help the two shades blend in a little bit better at the outer corner. They kind of looked like they were two complete different entities and they didn't belong next to each other. So I needed a little bit of this to help it out. But I do really like the goldenness of that color, so I am going to dip back into that. Okay, so far I feel like that gold shade, that golden copper bronze shade, is the only good eyeshadow out of these. I feel like that dark teal like wasn't as pigmented as I wanted it to be, and then I felt like it just blended away way too quickly. In fact, still looks pretty blended away. I'm pretty sad to be disappointed by that product because I just tried their Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes and I love those, so it's kind of like upsetting to see this happen, but we'll move forward. The next thing I have is an eyeliner from Physicians Formula. This is their Precision Ultra Fine Liquid Liner and it's got some lash conditioning serum in it. I was going to try one of the liquid liners that I got from my makeup subscription boxes, but I don't know, I saw this in stores and it's been years since I've been looking for this, so I figured, you know, I finally found it, I should try it. I'm disappointed. What is happening? The good thing about this product is that it enhances lashes apparently. The pigment of it is just not too great. I had to go over that a couple of times for it to get remotely black. At first it was just gray. I am going to go in with the other eye. I dropped that thing twice today. Since that pigment was so disappointing and I had to run over it a couple of times, I'm going to run in with the I Do liquid liner. That's where I draw the line, liquid liner. Or is it the I Do liquid liner? Does this have two names? Okay, well I'm grabbing it. I got it from one of my makeup subscriptions. I don't remember which one specifically, but I'm gonna go in. It doesn't seem like I shake it. I am just not a fan of either of these. So the Ico has a little bit more pigmentation. It is a felt tip, while the Physicians Formula is a brush tip. I always prefer brush tips. The Physicians Formula was not as pigmented as I'd liked it to be. I had to go over it a couple of times. The Ico one, pigment was there, however I feel like the product wasn't really there. It was kind of skipping a little bit towards the tail. It still is. I need to go in and fix that. Let's try a third liner here. This is the Ciate Starstruck liner, and it is limited edition, but we'll go in with this. If I remember correctly, this one is super liquidy, and I might not like this either, but let's just go over it. It's also felt tip. Okay, so the pigment of this liner, the Ciate one, was much better, and despite it being very liquidy and running on the back of my hand, bleeding on the back of my hand, it actually didn't bleed on my eyes, and that one might be my favorite so far of these three. I'm going to curl my lashes really quickly here and then go in with some Marc Jacobs mascara. I didn't curl them too much just because I know this mascara isn't waterproof. I'm not expecting it to hold my curl at all, so I curled them that high. This is the Velvet Noir Major Volume Mascara, and I have it in the shade Noir. This is a pretty dry formula, actually. It might hold a curl. I feel like that did a really good job of separating my lashes. but I do have short, straight Asian lashes, so I'm sure you can't tell the difference at all on camera. I actually like that it separates my lashes really well, and it's a little bit of a drier formula, so it's not that bad. I doubt it'll hold the curl though. It's not that dry of a formula. To prime my face, I'm going in with the Catrice Prime and Fun Nude Glow Primer, and it's a lot more liquidy than I expected. I don't know why I didn't expect it to be liquidy. A lot of the time, like illuminating primers will be more liquidy. It gives your skin this very healthy, natural glow, and then it is a little bit tacky feeling, but the tackiness does go away a little bit, so hopefully that tackiness will mean longevity in makeup. For the foundation, I'm going in with the Flower Light Illusion foundation. I'm so late on this. This is supposed to be a nude skin feel. I have it in L3. I have no idea if this shade is a shade match at all. And despite the fact that I don't know if this is a shade match, I'm going to put it all over my face. Oh, that looks very yellow. Okay. All the green that was on my finger just came off on that. I picked up a Morphe sponge, the highlight and contour sponge, and I'm just going to go in. I already wet it for the sake of this video. I don't know if you're able to tell through the camera, but the shade is very, very yellow. I used about 1 pump and it looks like I need a little bit more, so we're going to go in with just about 3/4 of a pump. The sponge feels pretty nice. It feels like firm but soft at the same time. What I really love about the shape of the sponge is that it's kind of like the Real Techniques and the Eco Tools had a baby. What I mean by that is that it has this like pointed, round pointed end like the Real Techniques one, but then it has like 2 slanted edges where one shorter than the other like the Eco Tools one. The Eco Tools one is definitely a lot more of a dramatic difference in slants, but it's got like a similar shape. Those two are some of my favorite sponges at the drugstore, not just for their shape though. This foundation has like a medium coverage, if not a light to medium coverage, and it is super glowy. I feel like I should like it because of how glowy it is, but I feel like there's a lot of texture that's showing because of the shine. That doesn't normally happen with my foundations. It might be the primer though, since I've never used that either. One or the other, but I'm showing a lot of texture here where I normally don't show any texture there even if I use a highlight over it. Like, it just doesn't show that much texture. So this is very interesting. Going back into the Makeup Revolution concealer, I have it in the shade C5. It's very close to my natural shade, so it's not much of a highlighter. And because it's not much of a highlighter, I'm not going anywhere else other than my under eyes here. I love this sponge. Oh, I really like this sponge. I got so close to my eye just now and it was so easy. The coverage of this concealer isn't bad. It's not like super full coverage. It's kind of like the Catrice one where it's definitely got that full coverage, but it's a little bit creamy of a formula than the Catrice. So it's kind of like the Catrice one is the most dry. The Maybelline Fit Me is the most creamy, and then this one sits somewhere in the middle of those two. I'm going to let this side dry down a little bit more before I blend it in, and by doing that, you're kind of letting it dry down a little bit, and that means a little bit more coverage. So let's see if that trick actually works with this concealer since it is the first time I'm using it. It looks like this one dries down pretty quick as well. Everywhere is kind of dry except for right there. So we're just going to kind of go into it now and see if the coverage is different from the other side. Okay, that coverage is definitely a lot better. We let that dry down and it was still really easy to blend out, but the coverage is definitely much better on this side than on this side. Can you tell? Can you tell? To set that down, I'm going to go in with my Maybelline Fit Me loose finishing powder here. I got it in the shade Fair Light. So I'm not going to go in and bake with it, but I am going to go in with quite some powder and then just pat it all away. Oh, that is finely milled. Oh my. That powder doesn't even look like I put anything on. It felt like it was like I set it down and it was just like, okay, I'm done. Whoa, that was very finely milled. Since it is so dewy, I'm going to make sure I set my chin and upper lip. I really, really like this powder. To finish up the eyes, I'm actually going to leave the bottom just a little bit bare. I might go in with, let's grab the detail brush again and let's go into that teal shade again. Let's try it out. and just pop that on the lower lash line. Why do I feel like that worked a little bit better down here than it did on the upper lash line? To contour today, I'm grabbing the Essence Shape Your Face contouring palette, and it looks like they're all matte. What does the blush look like? Looked like the blush had some shimmer in it, but it does seem to be all matte, and it looks like this. That blush does not look like a color that I would personally go and choose, but yet here we are. So I'm gonna grab the buffing brush from the Real Techniques face set that we got earlier and kind of just dip into this contouring shade. I feel like I need a fluffier brush. I'm gonna grab the Aesthetica P12. I feel like I was going in and kind of just picking up some foundation with that brush. This color looks a lot warmer on the face than it did in the palette. This isn't a bad contour shade. I'm really nervous about that blush, but it's kind of a blush shade that I wouldn't pick up for myself, so it was kind of like, be adventurous, try something new. Oh, I definitely look way too bronzed up here. Gotta get that fixed. My forehead looks so dark now. Oh my. I forgot to mention what shade I had it in. I have it in Ready Set Pink. It's shade number 20. I'm gonna grab the contour brush from this, and I'm gonna grab the highlight in here, which seems matte, so I think it's just gonna mattify this foundation here. And that's exactly what it just did. It just mattified this foundation. If anything, I feel like I should have tried to set my under eyes with this. What I'm gonna do is grab the setting brush that I bought. I'm gonna dip into the shade Moonstruck in the ColourPop You Had Me at Hello palette. Don't look at it, it's really gross. I just dug my nail into it, so I'm gonna dip into this color right here. Oh, I feel alive again. And just put some on my nose here. Does my nose look like a different shade? I'm gonna go in with a little bit more foundation just on my nose, apparently. My nose was looking like a little pink there, so. And I did a little too much highlight on the tip of my nose, so just buff that out. So far, I'm actually really liking it. Again, the highlight one, I would probably go in and try to set my under eyes with that. Let's see what this blush looks like. This time I'm gonna grab the buffing brush again, and let's dip into it. I hope it's not too pigmented. I'm not sure how long I haven't been recording. For the lip options, I had the Wet n Wild Color Icon lip glosses here, and I had the shade Featherless and Pout of Paradise. I always grab a nude shade, but I really wanted to try this one out because it looks like this like rusty orange. It's not as rusty orange on the lips, so I'm a little bit disappointed. I was hoping it'd be a little bit more rusty. But the pigment is definitely there, and that's something to be excited about. I'm not the biggest fan of like matte liquid lipsticks, so when lip glosses have a lot of pigment, that's kind of like what I opt for. But aside from that, that's what the makeup look is going to look like for today. And the last item I have to share with you here for my first impression is going to be my Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. That was amazing. I just held it and went, that was fantastic. I love that. It smells kind of like cologne. Does it have alcohol in it? I don't see alcohol. Oh, it has papaya. It smells really good. Overall, first impressions, I like the primer and the foundation. The foundation is very glowy. It definitely is an illuminating foundation. I'm not sure if it was the primer or if it was the foundation, but something gave my skin a little bit more texture than it normally has. So the pores looked a little bit bigger, and you can see some texture right over here where I normally don't have any texture. The eyeshadow palette, I really wanted to love it. I'm quite disappointed by it. I think the color really worked well on the lower lash, but on the upper lash, the pigment just wasn't there for me. The golden shade in there though, that like golden bronze shade, definitely was amazing. It's a really affordable palette, so technically you could have gotten that shade for that price if you had bought a single shade anyway. But if you're looking for something that you can use more than one shade out of 4, I probably would say don't pick it up. I'm just not impressed by it. Maybe you would be. It's kind of just like dull and muted, if you can tell. The mascara is still holding the curl, and it's been about 45 minutes now. But who's to say it'll hold in an hour or two, just because it wasn't waterproof. But the Marc Jacobs one was a little bit on the drier side, so it might hold the curl, but it might smudge on me, so who knows, we'll see. The eyeliner was extremely disappointing. I tried 3 today. The Physicians Formula did not have enough pigment. The Ico one ran a little bit dry, so it skipped, and then the Ciate one was super wet. Out of the 3 though, it looks like I like the Ciate one the best. It does bleed on the back of your hand, but apparently it doesn't bleed on my eye, so that's alright, because eyeliner is for my eye. The contour palette, I really like the contouring shade of it. It does run a little bit warmer than it does look like it would from the palette itself, but it does work really nicely. It's very pigmented, a little bit too pigmented. My forehead got kind of bronzed here, kind of warmed up. And then the highlight, I probably wouldn't opt for too often just because it is matte, and for my highlights I just like a little bit of shimmer and glow. The blush in there is not a color that I would typically go for. It is a very pink color, like pretty vibrant pink, and so I'm kind of glad I went out of my comfort zone here. I do like it. I think it is a little bit heavy, but a little bit less. I think I would really like the shade still, so that's definitely good, and it was so affordable. The Color Icon one, I do really like the formula. It doesn't feel gloppy, and it does have a lot of pigment. No gloppiness is good. And then the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. Oh my gosh, this thing's amazing. I just love just being able to hold it down and be like, Meanwhile, with everything else, you're kind of like, it's so much more violent, but not really violent. This one's kind of just like a walk in the park, and the other one's kind of like a rainstorm hitting you. Even with like a really fine mist, it's just kind of like intermittently smacking you, you know? But this is kind of just like laying down a nice film all over, consistently, constantly, steadily. Oh, I forgot to talk about the setting spray. The setting powder. I really like this. This thing is so finely milled. I thought I wouldn't like anything better than the Coty Airspun one, but this thing is amazing, and I really like it. It looks really good on the skin, mattes down, and then it's just so finely milled. It just works so beautifully underneath the eyes. And then I also used it down here too, and it worked really well. So far. Of course, this is my first impression, and my opinions might change, but as of right now, these are my opinions. So thanks so much for sticking around. If you want to check out more of my videos, go ahead and click there for me. If you want to subscribe, click up there for me. Other than that, again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you next time.